Senator Josh Hawley, who again loved to make fun of woke college students for feeling unsafe on campus because whatever, if someone was opposed to, for example, whatever the liberal woke causes were in the eyes of Republicans, love to make fun of woke college students, talking about their safety. Again, here he is praising the detention and kidnapping of foreign students in the name of protecting pro-Israel students from harm.
As you and I sit here in New York court by the victims of October 7th for terrorizing and assaulting Jewish students, unlawfully taking over and damaging public university property, and physically assaulting Columbia University employees. And you're telling me that it's McCarthyism to remove this individual?
Senator, the deportation was started before that lawsuit, before that second question about what he was saying on his forms.
No, this is what the government has alleged in open court, Mr. Stern. This is the basis for their removal proceedings. And our law makes clear if you endorse or espouse terrorist activity, you can be removed from this country. He has done so. He's been accused of doing so from the beginning. He's been accused of lying to get into the country. I'm amazed that you're saying that this is McCarthyism.
Senator, you weren't here when I quoted part of what Justice Brandeis was talking about the back at a case where there's somebody that was convicted for supporting the Communist Party because they were talking about violence as a political solution. And
hard to
Brandeis
hear
told us that this type of robust speech, as long
yeah. Do you want to just summarize the exchange because we have a volume issue?
Oh, okay. Anyway, Josh Hawley is so excited about the kidnapping of Mahmoud Khalil that he's also favorably citing a new lawsuit that's been brought against Columbia students, in which basically they're accused of causing Columbia students who support Israel emotional distress because they were protesting Israeli mass murder. And Josh Hawley is so excited about that he's favorably quoting that lawsuit. Again, this is exactly what they mocked liberal college students for.
Yeah.
Is trying to punish other people for making them feel unsafe. And now they're so excited because there's a lawsuit going on against Columbia students for exactly what they would mock, college kids for previously.
It's the dumbest lawsuit I've ever seen, but who is Josh Hawley screaming at there? That's Ken Stern, who was a longtime staffer at the American Jewish Committee. I actually know him. He wrote the IHRA, International Holocaust Remembrance Association definition of anti-Semitism that is now being used to crush free speech. And Ken Stern has come out and said that he regrets doing that definition was never meant to be enforceable because it equates anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. And, the reason he's testifying there is basically in opposition to this crackdown on free speech. So you have someone really coming out of the heart of the Zionist movement, denouncing what is being done with his own work.
Just a quote from that lawsuit that was filed against Columbia.
Yeah, I got it here.
It says that the acts of Columbia students constitute, quote, a continuous act of international terrorism. Okay. So if you make a student...
Wait. Read the whole thing starting at 75.
Okay. All right. On October 7th, the younger brother of plaintiff Jane Moe, a Columbia student, was deployed to Gaza, where he fought against Hamas for over a year and sustained injuries in battle. As a result, Moe, the Columbia student, has experienced severe emotional distress, exacerbated by the demonstrations on Columbia's campus that glorified the terrorists who had attempted to harm her brother. Each of the crimes discussed above was an individual act of international terrorism, and viewed collectively, all the foregoing conduct, commencing on October 7th and lasting through today, constitutes a continuous act of international terrorism. So not only can you be sued for emotional distress if you criticize Israel, because that will upset a student whose brother is helping kill Palestinians in Gaza, you'll also be accused of international terrorism in the process. And this lawsuit also makes the insane allegation that
Wait,
somehow
wait. Leave this on screen. Just to drill this down. The brother of the Columbia student, this Jewish student who's so oppressed and is suing SJP, went to slaughter babies in Gaza as part of the Zionist Einsatzgruppen of Israel. And he was injured attacking people's homes, burning their homes down. And she's the victim because it hurt her feelings to have students tell her that her brother was a baby killer. And those students are terrorists too. And her brother, it's almost like her brother was just this innocent victim who was just sitting there and a Hamas attacked him, except he chose to go into the Gaza Strip to kill people. I mean, that's the basis of this lawsuit. So yeah, go on.
Well, and then this lawsuit, if I have the same one correctly, it also insinuates that students at Columbia were privy to Hamas's plans because it notes that like some account was activated shortly before the October 7th operation began. So they're trying to suggest that like somehow these Columbia kids were like involved in October 7th, which is just, that's like, that's like Russiagate level insanity, but that's a little bit, it's being taken seriously. And people like Josh Hawley are so happy that students at Columbia are being sued for daring to make it pro-Israel students, including with relatives who go to Gaza to kill people, making them feel unsafe.
Here's Sean McGuire, partner at Sequoia, Caltech physics PhD, and one of the dumbest people on the internet, declaring, surprise, surprise, damning evidence that Columbia's Students for Justice in Palestine chapter knew Hamas was about to attack on October 7th. He calls American universities woke madrasas, basically meaning that they're woke schools, because that's all madrasa means. But now with more emphasis on madrasa. Oh, very clever. Here's the lawsuit. 3 minutes before 3 minutes before Hamas began its attack on October 7th, Columbia SJP posted on Instagram, "We are back," and announced its first meeting of the semester would be announced and that viewers should stay tuned. Before the post, Columbia SJP's account had been dormant for months. So because they were reconvening at the beginning of a school year, this is being interpreted as evidence that while most of the Hamas movement had no idea about the Tufan al-Aqsa or al-Aqsa flood attack on October 7th, Columbia's SJP chapter had intimate, inside, confidential knowledge and then activated its Instagram account as part of this terrorist attack. Clear evidence here being cited by Senator Josh Hawley. I saw like Noah Smith, this neocon from Bloomberg, cite this too. Like, we nailed you. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. It's even dumber than a lot of what I saw in Russiagate. And it's what's being used to attack free speech on an industrial scale by people who have much more. I mean, who's behind this? Who's behind this assault on free speech? Did like American local, VFW halls and community institutions start declaring that this was some menace that needed to be shut down? No. It was, and this is the terrifying and upsetting part about it. It was Jewish communal institutions that demanded this. The Jewish American establishment demanded this. Every established Jewish institution in America has been captured by Zionism. And almost none of them, I mean, I'm seeing J Street condemn it and some of the leftist Jewish groups that, Jewish Voice for Peace, that are anti-genocide, who are considered pariahs by the Jewish establishment, are condemning it. But the Jewish establishment has demanded this. And they're not condemning these Gestapo-like raids in the street. The Anti-Defamation League is at the heart of this. formerly known as B'nai B'rith. And they are, I mean, this is what they wanted. So this is the face of pro-Israel activism. This is something that every Jewish American who's part of Jewish communal life has to own up to and face. That on behalf of a foreign country, they're tearing down the American Constitution, exploiting their financial influence and proximity to power in a right-wing Republican administration in order to shut down critics of that country. And I actually think most Jews who are liberal are not in favor of this, but the institutions, American Jewish Committee, Anti-Defamation League, United Jewish Appeal, all the major Jewish groups that support Israel, this is what they want. And the grassroots are not in favor of it. The grassroots on campus, the grassroots in the Democratic Party is not in favor of it. So you're basically just going to have to police the entire grassroots with masked Gestapo-like thugs in order to maintain the special relationship with Israel, unless you own up to this and start actually doing something within those institutions to call them out. And I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing any condemnation of this at all. And so it's naturally going to increase anti-Semitism.
100%. I agree with you that most Jews aren't in support of it, but we're not seeing that reflected in people speaking up. And I think it's generational. From our generation, Max, like you and I are the same age and up, people are silent. I mean, present company excluded and a few others, but, you know, and of course, groups like Jewish Voice for Peace. In terms of like, you know, people, prominent Jewish cultural figures who are our age and older, there's just still, I think, that leftover indoctrination from Zionism, from North American Zionism, that polices people into silence. Younger generations, I don't think, have the same problem. If you look at the college protests, so many young Jewish students, way more than were out there when we were in college. So that's a real positive generational shift. But, you know, something about Generation X and above, that Zionist indoctrination and intimidation factor is so strong that people who, you know, people who I know who during Black Lives Matter were out there in the streets, you know, with BLM signs on this issue, I'm generalizing, but I think it's fair, are still pretty silent, with the exception, of course, of groups that are, you know, outwardly dedicated to the Palestinian cause, like Jewish Voice for Peace, and if not now, but if not now, is a younger generation. Otherwise, total conformity, or at least silent so far, for the most part.
Total conformity, and it's all in the open. This is pro-Israel activism. This is the culmination of years and years of pro-Israel activism, and it's not going to stop at permanent residents and visa holders. They don't want it to stop there. Everyone's going to have to be shut down. This live stream is going to have to be shut down, because Israel's not going to stop cranking up the gears of its Holocaust machine and pushing for endless regional war until it fully subjugates the entire region surrounding it and leaves it in ruins. How is that going to reverberate throughout American life? Can the Jewish establishment just rule through force and authoritarian power without the consent of even most Jews in the United States? That's what they think they can do. And so far, they're getting away with it.